Welcome student. Today I am going to discuss a new topic, file input output. So this package input output is belongs to java.io.start package. In the previous lecture I talk about the exception handling, where I discuss mainly one try catch and finally block, and I had also discussed about the several possible combination of try catch finally block that can be used in our programming. So this topic related to input output is not directly related to exception handling, but think about it that I have already discussed that if I want to access a file, right, if I want to access a file and the file is not physically present there, what kind of exception may be arise? File not found exception I had discussed many times. So here in this lecture I am going to discuss about, I will be talking about file, file reader, file writer, buffer reader, buffer writer, buffer reader and print reader. So I will discuss all about that, but in this lecture I am just mainly concentrate on file, file reader and file writer, right. So what is file actually? You are already familiar with that, but how can I use this file in our Java program? How to access this file, or how to write to a file, how to access a particular character from a file, I am going to discuss in this lecture. First, let me take an example so that you can get the clarity of this discussion. So first I am writing a constructor of a file class file f equal to new file, and when we call a constructor of file class, file is a class in input output package, file is a class in Java. So I have to pass the argument, I pass a string, and that string is the name of the file, right. For example, I am taking abc.txt, right. Okay. So that would be my constructor. So that means whenever I am just calling a file of the file constructor, I have to pass an argument as a string, that what kind of file I am going to access or I am going to create. Now in this constructor creating a file object, let me know that is there any physical file is exist, right or no. So it is not a physical file exist at the first time. So what happened actually, I have written a file, the name of the file is abc, right. So in our somewhere in my directory I will see abc.txt. If it is present, then this file object f will refer to this text file, right. And if the file is not exist, so it will return a false. So how do I know that whether the file is physically exist or not? So we have a method that is called exist method. So I can call it f.exist method, and if I want to print by using system.out.println, then I will get that the first time when this line is executed, I will get the output as a false. Why? Because when I call the constructor of file constructor by using passing abc.txt as a string argument, if the file is not created actually, it is just create a reference, or you can say it is a object that will point to my file abc.txt, right. So So, first time if I want to check whether this file is physically exist or not, I will get a false value. And why? So, how we create a file? So, we have another method associated with the file class, that is create new file. Create new file. That is actually create a physical file. If the file is not present in my directory, then this function create new file function will create a file, physical file abc.txt in my directory, and f is a object, file pointer, file object that will point to this abc.txt. So, after that if I want to get whether the file is already created or not, by this, after this line if I write system.out.println, and if I want to check whether the file is present or not, and if I write the exist and I will get true. Right. So, what does mean actually? So, first time, let me clarify this one. First time when I execute this line, first what will be the output? False, right? And after this I am getting true. So, if the line is executed for first time, then I will get the output here false, and here I will get the output true. Okay. And second time if I run this code once again, then second time the file is already created, because I have already executed this line once more. So, that is why the file is actually created. So, I will get here the output is true, because file is already present in my directory. So, second time if I execute this line, I will get true and true, right. So, actually the file object, from this example you can understand that the file object, it does not create any physical file. First it will create, if there are any physical file name with .abc.txt is available or not. First it will check, and if the file is already available, then simply refer to this file, and if the file is not available, then we are creating, then we just simply call the f dot create new file method to create a new file. Actually the concept of file comes from the Unix operating system. So, everything in file even directory also treated as a file. So, file IO concept is implemented based on the Unix operating system. So, the Java file object also used to represent the directory also. Okay. So, here if I want to say that create new file means it is create a new file, but if I want to create a directory, so how can I know that? We can use the same constructor for file, but let me write this example. So, file f new file, and within that I have to pass the name of the directory or folder just I want to create. For example, if I write who was my name, so it means just for example, so it's check that to create a directory. So, how can I make a created directory? How can I separate from created file? So, how can I understood that? So, let me check once again whether it is possible or not. First, if I use the system.out.println, and within that if I write f.exist same function, so I will get and false value. And after that, if I write f dot mkdir, so it means that I am going to create a directory with this name. Okay. So, it is basically for a directory, because I have not mentioned any extension of a file. So, and after that, if I use mkdir, so that line will be treated as a to create a directory. So, from this example, you can understand the file constructor used to create a directory, and it is also create a new file. But how can I separate from each other? How can I know that which one is the directory, which one is the file? So, from this string we can understand, and even the finally we can understand from this method. So, whether I am using to create new file or whether I am just using f.mkdir method. So, if I use f.mkdir, so that means I am going to create a directory, and if I use f.create new file, so that means I am going to create a file with this file name, right. And if I want to use mkdir, means with this directory name, just I want to make a directory. So, you need to understand that what you are going to create, whether you are going to create a file or whether you are going to create a directory. So, based on that we can use the constructor. Okay. So, let me write the constructor available for this file class. So, we have first, we are already familiar with this one. So, first one is the constructor, file class constructor. Let me write a heading so that you can get the clear idea. File class constructor. Okay. So, file class constructor. So, we have already used this one, file f new file, then we have just passed a string name, but here the string name is based on the string we can understood whether it is a file or whether it is a directory, right. The second one, we have another constructor for file class, where we can write file f new file, then if I want to create a file under a directory. So, how can I write? We can just pass the string name, string subdirectory name, subdirectory name. So, I am writing in short. So, subdirectory name, then string name, right. So, this second constructor is used if I want to create a file under a directory. So, this is how many argument are there? 2 argument. First argument, the path, string path, where you want to create the directory, and after the directory subdirectory, then this is the name of the file I am going to pass as an argument. For example, if I write first we have to create file f equal to new file. For example, if I want to make a directory as per our previous example, I am writing the same name so that you can understand, and after that we have to call mkdir, make directory, right, and then I have to use this file constructor once again to use the second one, because I want to create a name, file name under this directory. So, I have already created this directory. So, second time I have to just pass a file, then name of the directory. Here the name of the directory is Subhash, and under that I will create a avc.txt, right. So, I can make it string also, no problem, we can make string also. right. So, this is the second way to use this constructor. After that we can write f dot create new file, right. So, this is the second constructor which is used to create a file under a directory, and you know that first we have created directory, under it I have created file name abc.txt, right, and we have another constructor. So, file f new file, then we can pass the entire subdirectory, then string name. But here we have, since we have created the subdirectory, so I have to mention that the what kind of file object it is. So, file type subdirectory, then that means we have already created the object f. Okay, we just simply write, instead of Subhash, we can just simply write f dot f comma the second argument abc.txt. So, we can write in this way. So, we write directory, and this is the syntax, the string name, and if I take this example, so I can write like file f new file, and here the constructor is, for example, file object. So, here the subdirectory object is f, because this f is already created, and we can use f comma the second argument abc.txt. This is the example how do I create under a directory, right. So, this is all about this file. Now, we have some method. So, this all about this constructor. So, how many constructors are there? So, there are three constructors. One of the constructor is just only passing this string name. Another constructor is, we can, if I want to create a subdirectory file under a subdirectory, and another constructor is if I pass the file object as a first argument and second argument is a name of the file. So, we can use these three constructors which are available in my Java class. Now, we have some important method in file class, because we do not know, how do I know which one is the file, which one is the directory. So, to know that, we have used a method. First, we already use some methods, or you can write important method in file class. So, we have already used f dot exist, right, we already know this one, and we also use f dot create new file, and we have also used f dot mkdir, so make directory, right. So, but how do I know whether my file is a directory or whether my file is a file? So, we have another method that is called f dot is file to check whether it is a file or not. We have similarly, we have another method to check whether this is a directory or not. Right. Suppose in my directory there are so many files available. So, if I want to know how many files are there, we have another method that is called f dot list method, where we will list the name of the name of the file, and from this we can understood that how many files are present in my directory. And the return type of this file is string array. So we can write like this, string array is equal to like this. So return type of this list function list method is string array. So even we can use, suppose this is my file and in my file so many characters are present. So if I want to count how many characters are present in my file, so we use f dot length method, but here the length method is return type is not integer. It is because the number of character in file must be very long number. So that is why we use the return type of this function is long, okay, that is long return type of this function. And if I want to delete some character or you want to delete some file, so we have another method that is called delete. Okay. So these are the important method to calculate the file triggering information. For example, the return type of this function is boolean, and create new file, this is also a boolean, and mkdir, this is also a boolean return type, and is file is a boolean, is directory is a boolean, and string, only the list is a string, okay, and length function is long, okay. These two things we have to remember, and another delete function is boolean. So all the methods which are available in file class associated with the file class, we the return type of all the method except the list and length, all method are boolean. In this example there are so many methods are available. So these are the frequently used the method, and this method return type is boolean, okay, and only the list and the length function is not a boolean. So next one is, so by using file constructor we can create file, we can create directory also, but we cannot create in physically. So to create a file physically we have to use create new file, this function on file object, and if I want to create a directory we have to use mkdir method, and we have several other methods related to file. So we have a two constructor, one of the constructor to create a file directly just passing the name as a string, and if I want to create a file in a directory, in a subdirectory, so we have another constructor. So in file class we have a two constructor, and how many method we have? 1 2 3 4 4 5 6 7 8. So we have a 8 method. Out of 8 method we have the 6 method whose return type is boolean, except the list method and length method is not a boolean type, and all the other method is return type is boolean, right. So though in this lecture we have familiar with the file constructor, how to create a file, and right now we are familiar with this one, but so far if I consider that how to write in a file, we are need a additional classes, that is file reader and file writer, to read a file, to read a particular character from a file, or to write a particular character into a file. So we need file writer and file reader. So in next lecture I will discuss about the file reader and file writer. So why it is important I will discuss in my next lecture.